Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dedicated Show. My name is Kate Strachny. I'm the host of the Dedicated Show and founder of Dedicated. Today, we are talking about the need for an enterprise approach for data management. And we've got a great guest, Dr. Anne Marie Smith, who is going to join us in just a minute. She is the principal consultant and director of education at Alabama Yankee Systems. And before I bring her up on stage, I just want to remind everybody that this is a live show. We are here to talk to the live audience as well as, the audience who's watching us pre-recorded. We appreciate your listening as well. But if you're here live, make sure you use the chat in the LinkedIn, YouTube, or Twitter boxes to go ahead and talk to us, ask questions, leave comments, let us know if you agree or disagree with things we're talking about. And as one more time, the topic for today is the need for an enterprise approach for data management. I know data management has gotten a rap where it's sometimes overlooked, right? It's sort of like, oh, data management, it should just be running back there in the background somewhere. But our guest today will talk to us about why it's so important. How do we actually tackle this? How does AI play a role? And we have lots of great questions for Dr. Anne Marie Smith lined up. But before we do all that, I do want to just bring her up on stage. Hello, hello. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Kate, and hello, everybody who's watching. Nice to see you, Kate, today, and thank you all for joining.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for being on the Dedicated Show. I'm really, really excited to talk to you about all things data management today. Before we get into the actual topic, I do want to give you the opportunity to tell people a little bit about yourself. Tell us about Alabama Yankee Systems. I know we had a very quick discussion about the company right before we went live, but I want you to repeat that story. I think it's adorable. So I'll give you the stage to tell the audience a bit about yourself.
Hello. As Kate said, my name is Anne Marie Smith, and I've spent my career in data management, which is I've learned about the various ways that companies don't manage data according to best practices and ways to help them improve that, which is what Alabama Yankee Systems Consulting Company does. Why is it called Alabama Yankee Systems? Well, there's a story behind the name. I'm from Philadelphia, born and raised in Philadelphia, educated, went to college and grad school here. I've never lived anyplace else. My husband, on the other hand, is an Army brat, and he lived all over the world, but spent formative years in Alabama on a couple different Army posts. When we were forming this consulting company 26 years ago, we wanted a name that encompassed both our backgrounds, but a name that people would actually recognize and find interesting. My husband came up with the name Alabama Yankee Systems. My Yankee background, his Alabama background.
I love that. I think it's so cute. And 26 years ago, my goodness.
I
Has
just realized how long ago it
I
was.
saw you doing the math. You're like 24, 25, 26 years ago. Has data management changed at all in the past 26 years? No?
Just a bit. Absolutely. Some of it hasn't. But
Yeah.
26 years ago, generally it was called data administration.
Mm.
And all the different functions that have become the enterprise data management function were labeled just part of data administration.
Mm.
Data governance, metadata management, which is data definitions from both the business and technical perspectives, data quality, data design, data modeling, data architecture, um, data operations, data privacy and data security were just considered part of the operations and maybe part of metadata if you really wanted to get technical. Um, and there was very little focus on anything about the ethics of collecting data and the ethics of using it. Over the last 26 years, that's changed dramatically. Companies recognize that there's a need to understand data governance from both the conceptual viewpoint and the implementation viewpoint.
Mm.
Understand how data quality affects the use of data fit for purpose, understand why it's really important to have business definitions of your data. That's the metadata management.
Yep.
And that's influenced by data governance, and good metadata management influences an improvement to data quality. Data privacy and data security has become practically its own companion function. Some organizations don't even include that in their data management approach. I would disagree with that, because without good practices,
Yeah.
like data governance, and without good data privacy and security practices, you can't really use data properly, and you can't have the right data to be used. And then
Right.
there are the other functions of data management that are much more technical, like the database operations, master data management, which, although usually relegated to a technical function, has a lot of business implications which are affected by data governance, metadata management, and can affect data quality. So they're all really connected. Like in anatomy class, the hip bone's connected to the thigh bone,
Right.
the bone's connected to the shin bone. They're all connected, and both of them are connected at the knee.
So, so wait, are you saying that I can't just look at data quality or just master data management or just metadata? I have to do all of that for proper data management, for effective data management. We can't just pick and choose and, attack one problem here and there.
Actually, you can at implementation, but at
Mm-hmm.
the conceptual level, you
Mm.
really need to look at it number one, as all those functions, because they're all really related, with my joking reference to the hip bone, the thigh bone, and the shin bone, and the kneecap. Um, you need to recognize that that's the way that they're done conceptually, so you understand where the connections are, and you understand it from an enterprise approach, because you really shouldn't do this with just one department, because one department will take one approach, another department will take another approach, a third department will take a different approach, and nothing's connected.
Yeah.
Implementation is often done at a department or business area level,
Mm-hmm.
with maintaining that enterprise conceptual large focus. You can take the implementation at a department level, and you should, but you really shouldn't do that until you've set out the overall conceptual view of enterprise data management,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that it's at an enterprise.
Right. And that brings me to an article I was just reading earlier this morning that you wrote with Tom Redman on how to craft an effective data governance policy. And in that, you mentioned the need for one data policy. Is this sort of where you're getting to, where you need to set the concept with that one data policy, and that then gets implemented and trickle down with sub policies and
Yes.
procedures? And yeah, tell us why. Why do we need that one policy? What happens if we don't?
Sure, yes. That's one reason why Tom and I recommend the one data policy. The other reason is that there are so many policies in organizations. Even little organizations have a whole slew of policies.
Mm-hmm.
Something as important as data, and we have to understand that data really is very important, especially in the realm of AI, machine learning, and the proliferation of data collection. Having one foundational data policy for the organization means that people will know that it's there. They
Mm-hmm.
can't fall back on the contention that I didn't know it existed. There are so many policies on data, I couldn't find it. There's one policy, and it's at the enterprise level,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody can understand it.
How
And
long
that's
is this policy? Is it 10 pages? Is it one page? What do you
a
seen
couple
typically?
pages,
Hmm?
couple pages.
Couple pages. Okay.
And the challenge there, Kate, as I think you're alluding to, is if it's only one page, does it cover enough? If it's 10 pages, does anybody read it?
Yeah.
That's why we recommend that it's a couple pages, not very long,
Mm-hmm.
but that it's distilled to the essence of what data means to this company, how it's going to be treat it as
Right.
an asset, and what's expected, especially from the leadership and management
And
for
who typically writes
using
this
data
policy?
as a, pardon?
Who typically writes this policy
That's an excellent question. And the answer
besides
for a
ChatGPT?
consultant, it depends.
Okay.
Usually it's written by a group of people, couple groups, I mean, I don't mean a couple people, like
Mhm.
no more than about 6.
Okay.
They represent business areas. There might be one technology leader there,
Mhm.
and a couple of the if they have a data management team, somebody from the data management team should be the person responsible for crafting the policy because
Mhm.
they understand the language, both the language of data management and the language the company uses.
Right.
I Tom and I don't think that there should be more than about 6 people involved, and that's the first challenge, identifying the right 6 people.
Mhm.
And if you don't have a data management team, this often showcases the need for having a couple people involved in data management.
Yeah.
So that, as you said at the start of this, it's no longer in the background.
Right. Yes. And I think, you mentioned something about AI. I think we're the proliferation of AI and sort of everyone trying to use it and hey, I want AI and you want AI, we all want to do it. I like we talked about before we hit the live button, it has put data management, data quality, data governance at more of the forefront because if you want to use this, well, this cute monster, you can't feed it garbage, right? You have to feed it something good so it can give you goodness back out.
Yes,
So, have you
absolutely.
actually seen companies sort of shift their focus on data quality, making sure that the data they collect and that they process and that they hold and use, really paying attention to making sure that it is of higher quality because of AI?
Yes. In fact, I came from a meeting about an hour ago around that very topic. Um, Client is interested in using generative AI and machine learning for their training purposes
Okay.
because they need a larger group of individual contributors in the operation. It's an insurance company. And they don't have enough underwriters and claims managers that are sufficiently versed
Hmm.
in some of the new policies that they've promoted, meaning insurance policies, not data policies.
Right.
And they wanted to discuss how to use the data that they have to train these underwriting managers and these claims managers. And I pointed out that having done an assessment of their current state of data management, they're woefully lacking in high quality data to use as the foundation for their machine learning efforts and their generative AI plans. So now they're talking about taking the recommendations from the assessment that Alabama Yankee Systems did and applying some of those recommendations to improving, especially their data quality and some of the policies they have that would be part of data governance and some of the policies that they should have on data privacy so that the right data is collected at the right level
Hmm.
and that they can use it in the future to generate good training exercises.
Absolutely. And I don't think we talked about this. Tell me more about what does Alabama Yankee Systems actually do? And you mentioned assessments. What does that actually look like? What are you assessing there?
Okay, Alabama Yankee Systems is a consulting company where we have a small group of people who
Hmm.
are focused on various aspects of data management, data governance, data quality, metadata management, data privacy, and an area we didn't talk about yet, data ethics.
Hmm.
We don't do a lot in the more technical operations because most organizations have sufficient technical capabilities. They're lacking in the strategic direction, business areas of data management. So we work with companies of all industries, all sizes, surprisingly, and including government entities to help them identify the business challenges they have with data, the areas where they are strong,
Okay.
the areas where they could use some help, and the areas where they're not doing anything at all. That's the basis for an assessment.
Okay.
The organization wants to know what their current state is. We're fine. We've been doing this for years. We've been collecting data for 128 years. That's the insurance company that I was just talking about. Well, are you collecting the right data in the right way? Is it well defined? Are you using the right policies? Do you have the right privacy controls on it? Are you regularly assessing its quality against metrics that you've established? And that's the point of the assessment.
Mm-hmm.
Because just like I think I'm doing an excellent job in my fitness efforts, a monthly assessment on how well I'm performing, whether I'm running at a faster pace, at a more regular effort.
Mm-hmm.
Am I doing the weights right? Am I using the right weights? And am I using them that benefits my overall fitness? That's an assessment.
Yep.
And that's one of the things we do that very few other organizations do. My doctoral research was on assessment.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
I've developed a format for assessing enterprise data management, current state, and then helping the organizations identify where they want to be in a couple years.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Okay.
7 years down the road, but 2-3 years at most. Where do you want to be?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you plan to get there?
Okay.
The assessment results will help us help them determine how to get from current state to the desired future state. By then, they should be well sustained.
Got it. And then do you also, let's say they're missing that one data policy, or they're missing some specific policy around data ethics. Does your team also help them implement some of these corrections that you find? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
In fact, I've served as the data governance leader and enterprise data management director for quite a few companies until they found their forever person.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Very cool. Well, thanks for sharing that. Back to data management. Why do you think just a few companies are struggling with, and I say that lightly, why do you think most companies are struggling with data management?
Because of what you said earlier, Kate.
It's in the back burner. No one's paying attention to it.
No one's paying attention to it. It's there. They think of it more as a technical function.
Yeah.
Hey, our databases aren't crashing.
Yeah.
People can get data. Whether they get the data they want, whether they get the data they need, whether they get the right data,
Yeah.
and whether that data is fit for the right purpose at the level of quality, we just get data. We'll figure it out. Most organizations have a collection of heroes.
Mm-hmm.
God bless them, they're great. But they're doing things harder, not necessarily smarter. Bringing data management to the forefront helps organizations work smarter, especially concerning their data. And I don't think anybody who's either watching this live or watching it pre-recorded will say that we're consuming less data than we used to.
Oh, no. I think everyone would agree we're collecting more, we're consuming more, we're producing more, we're creating data as we speak right now, right? So as we're recording this live show. And I guess AI is one aspect to sort of get data management, data quality, data governance at the forefront. Do you think there's something else organizations can do today to show and highlight the importance of data management? Is it just showcasing examples like, hey, this is how you currently get your data? It might have mistakes and it's an inefficient process, and showing them a better way? Or what would be some of your suggestions?
That's actually an excellent suggestion, Kate.
Yeah.
Everybody in every organization has anecdotal evidence of times when they either were successful in getting the right data they needed or unsuccessful. In fact, most of the problems that we see and most of the organizations that come to us do so because they've had either managers or individual contributors complain about the current state of their data. I tried for 6 weeks to get the right data for this report. I finally got it, but it only took me 6 weeks. And before I was able to make the final report, I had to massage the results 3 different ways.
You bring me back.
3 different systems, and each one had its own results, etc. So whiny voice aside, that's an excellent way to showcase the need for improved data management. Because when I was this is how I started in data management. I was working for an insurance company right out of college.
Mm-hmm.
I was responsible for reporting on the underwriting and claims results for one line of business.
Okay.
One line of business, homeowners insurance. There were 3 separate systems: a claim system, an underwriting system, and a system that was supposed to collect all the reports from the various places.
Did the systems talk to each other?
No,
Why would they?
of course not. So every time I was asked for results, which was probably twice a month, I spent the other 2 weeks of the month figuring out which data was right. I learned a lot about metadata management, especially business definitions, and I learned how to ask my underwriters and claims managers to enter data so that it was more correct. Like, this
Mm-hmm.
is what we're going to measure, basic data quality metrics. And I fell into the data management role because the company said, aha, there's somebody who actually might know how to do this. I didn't know yet. I was only making it up. But in the land of the blind, the one-eyed woman is king.
Yeah.
So that's how I got to be a data management
Very interesting.
specialist. And I went to grad school around it, and the rest is kind of history. But
Yeah.
that's a great way to start,
Okay.
collecting the anecdotal results and saying, we really need to do something better.
Mm-hmm. And I think one thing I've seen in my consulting background, so I also did plenty of consulting in financial services in the regulatory compliance and risk management space. So not necessarily data, but if you remember, there was a giant regulation that came out called the Dodd-Frank Act.
Oh,
That
yes.
Yes, so you know this. For those who don't know, it was a regulation that I guess it was because of the financial crisis or whatever that
2008.
they couldn't understand who you had a relationship with or which entities you were working with or which entity were you to begin with, the legal entity identifiers and all of that nonsense uncovered how bad banks were at knowing their data. And I remember we had to ask the IT or the tech folks, like, hey, what's your golden source of data here? And they're like, well, here are 18 systems or 80 systems or 100 systems. Yeah, no, none of them really talk to each other. And you might get a different number here than here because of all the rules we set in place here. It made me think, like, these people have my money. Like, they are holding on. How do they know anything?
Right.
Obviously, I think we've come a long way. And I think regulations could be another push for getting your act together where companies might not see the benefit. Like, yes, you might get your data faster and it will help you do AI, but sometimes that sort of stick from the regulators can say, hey, we need this data or else you pay us money. That could be another push for better data.
Actually, that is one of the primary reasons historically that
Yeah.
organizations have recognized the need for improved data management.
Mm.
Most of my clients over the years have been insurance, financial services, regulated businesses in general, lesser responsibility around manufacturing, although a couple. But that regulatory compliance push
Yeah.
has been really strong. Several clients have reduced the fines and penalties they pay
Mm-hmm.
so greatly that that reduction paid for the data management program.
No, it makes sense. I mean, it's like your personal trainer saying you have to work out. This way you get your results, right? Back to your analogy of, am I using the right weights or am I running fast enough or how's my form? They come in and they say, do this or else.
Or else you won't be doing the marathon you want to do
Yeah.
in 3 months.
Or getting up from your couch, depending on how severe your issues are. That's
Exactly. Yes.
I know we're getting close to time here, but I wanted to ask another question on, let's say there's a large organization and they still have limited resources, right? So how would you say, like, what advice would you have for them to maybe improve on their data management program? What are some of the things they can do this month to improve? And like, how would you use those limited resources where unfortunately they are limited, right? For the
Yes,
most part.
they are
So
limited. Most
yeah.
organizations, no matter how much money they make, are limited in the resources. I would recommend, although a good assessment is done by an external organization, if you're limited in the resources and you don't have the funds to spend on an external assessment, and they're not usually that expensive, but they might not have any funds, do an internal assessment.
Mhm.
Take those anecdotes about data quality. Take those anecdotes about challenges around the lack of policies or inconsistent policies. Take those anecdotes on 17 different definitions for one business term and assess your current state against the various data management functions.
I think,
Pick the first one
and then go with it, right?
and go with it.
Hmm. I think you're right about the internal versus external. I always recommend an external evaluation, obviously paired closely with someone who really knows their stuff internally.
Mhm.
But you tend to be biased. You're like, oh no, we understand what this means. We're like, yeah, people are confused, but we can explain it to them. Like when you're external, you're like, no, they probably don't understand what it means. They might be more open talking to external people. And
Yes,
that's where Alabama Yankee systems comes in, right?
yes, yes.
Hire Anne Marie, and that's it. Be done with it. Save yourself the
Anne
head
Marie and her team. Yeah.
and her
Um,
team. Okay, so that's amazing. I mean, I always learn so much in these shows. So I absolutely appreciate you coming onto this show. As we wrap up, just want to ask, where can people actually go to talk to you? Where can they follow you? Where can they learn more about your consulting services? Where's the best place?
LinkedIn. As Kate and I were talking before we went live, some people have a website, some people have a LinkedIn page, some people have both. And unfortunately, when you have both, neither one really is that strong.
Yeah.
I chose LinkedIn over a website. Alabama Yankee Systems has a page on LinkedIn, and I have my page. You can follow me there, and you can follow the company progress there. And we post regularly on data management best topics. I was the editor in chief of datamanagementu.com. No longer there, but the articles are still there. So you can read them as well, but they're posted periodically on my page.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. I do see Susan was there saying no dirty data, and
Hi,
Mike
Susan.
says
Thank you.
that your IT teams can be a good source of internal assessment help. So yes, definitely
Absolutely. Yes.
work closely with those teams. We're not
Oh,
saying
yeah.
bring in the external and ignore the
Oh,
internal.
no, that never works.
No, you
Never
don't know
works.
enough, right? Like what do you?
It's actually a team of a few external consultants, usually two, sometimes one.
Yeah.
But if it's more than three, you're overlaying the external people.
Mhm.
And then a nice cross section of internal people to guide and help the external people on their journey.
I guess similar groups to the ones who would be writing a data policy, right? Just making sure
Yes,
you include
absolutely.
enough. Got it. Well, Anne Marie, thank you so much for being on the Dedicated Show. It was a great pleasure to host you.
Kate, it's been a pleasure doing this with you. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And if there are any questions subsequently, please feel free to message me on LinkedIn and I'll be sure to respond.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right,
Bye.
everybody. We'll see you online.
Yes.